Hello, my dear beloveds. We are here on the eve of Samhain, which is one of the most important holidays of the entire year. You know, this is the Celtic New Year. That's why a lot of practitioners, especially those who are earth-based practitioners, right, which includes Wicca and witchcraft, but in my experience also includes lots of other practitioners of other traditions, and we've talked about that before. For us, this is the new year. This is the end of the old, the beginning of the new, and it's a really important time for visioning. And this particular Samhain, of course, is coming during a waning moon, which means it's a really good time to shed and let go of what isn't going to serve you going into this new year. And so if you feel a little bit on the edge of your seat, that's not inappropriate right now, because there is an edge of your seatness that comes at the new year. And for me personally, the edge of my seatness is stronger now than it will be December 31st. And I think, again, that's because for a lot of us, this is the new year and has been for eons. And so how many times have you celebrated this new year, this Celtic New Year, not just in this lifetime, but in previous lifetimes, right? And so we honor the day and the week and the period. And what I want to share with you in this audio that I hope is going to not just brighten your day and your week, but also send you off with a practice for this new year, is working with one of our animal spirit helpers, one of our compassionate helpers of the West, who is Raven. And it's appropriate because the direction of West aligns to the season of fall. We're very much still in the fall season. The direction of West aligns to the element of water. And the Raven, who lives in the West and works in the West, some people align Raven with the North, but in my experience, Raven comes from the West. And Raven is a messenger. And not only does Raven signify a message coming to you, but you can actually send a raven out. You can call in a raven and send forth a raven as a scout with an intention to prepare space, to open space for whatever you send on the raven's wings. And so I would like to encourage you to summon a raven today, and to place a wish or an intention for this new year on Raven's wings. That Raven can then take for you, ahead for you, and begin to activate on your behalf in the best possible way, in the way that's in the deepest alignment with your highest good. And one of the things I've learned in working with Raven over the years is that Raven is very, very wise, and Raven corrects as well. You know, if you're working with Raven and there's any kind of low vibration attached to the work, Raven will squawk back and help you clarify and get to a cleaner place. And one of the things I'm going to be really underscoring in my teaching for the rest of this year, and then in a powerful way in my teaching in the year ahead, is how important it is for you to adopt a broader perspective of how energy works. You know, and here's an example. People write into me all the time, you know, could you give me, you know, certain words to say, or could you send an email to my partner and tell my partner X, Y, and Z, or could you know, wanting me to do something for them or on their behalf for someone else, which of course I don't do, right? Ethically, I don't work magic for other people. So, but that's all a teaching, right? Because we still really believe that if we want things to shift in our life, that they have to shift right in front of us where we can see it, or it's not happening. And if it doesn't happen today, it's not happening fast enough. And part of the reason I'm trying to help people unlearn that learning that they gathered somewhere is that it really doesn't serve you. it actually leads to a lot of anxiety. If you really believe that the only way change can happen is if you make it happen, and you make it happen right in front of you where everybody can see it and you have proof and it happened, your spiritual path is going to feel really constrained, because that's not how it works. And I'll give you another example. So I have learned that I feel things that are coming in the future anywhere from 2 months to 18 months before they happen. So I call it wave one, right? So wave one is just a feeling. And it can feel like anxiety, it can feel like fear, it can feel like excitement, because change engenders all those reactions, right? And so wave one is the sensing, and I'm always grateful for it. But I know, based on my experience, that doesn't mean whatever's coming is happening right now. And so if I were to do what a lot of my clients and students do, which is say, okay, well, I'll believe it when I see it, and it better happen tomorrow, or it's not happening, I would be really frustrated most of the time in my own life. And so what I'm talking to you about today isn't just some hypothetical scenario or some esoteric teaching. I'm talking about what I've had to learn to be able to walk this path with some grace without driving myself crazy and everyone around me crazy, and without asking other people to do what isn't ethical, which is to do my work for me. So wave one is the sensing. Something's changing, something's coming. And right now, empaths are sensing not just for themselves, but for the collective too, because there's a lot of change coming for the collective. And if you think you don't sense that too, well, let me reassure you that you do. So once you start to sense what's coming, that's a good time to send out a raven, okay? And you send a raven to scout. Okay, raven, I dispatch you today to go out ahead on that first wave and see what's there, and come back and report. Show me some signs. Is there anything I need to be thinking about, or any energies I need to be summoning or strengthening or aligning or gathering right now in anticipation of that? It's such a difference between gotta have it, gotta see it, gotta be now, to I'm sensing something very subtle, and so I'm going to work with a power animal, or even if you don't, send a raven, right? You can send your own thought waves out just to poke around, just to see what's happening, feel, yeah? And then wave two comes about halfway to the unfolding of what's actually happening in real time. And what I have noticed in my work is that for me, when that happens, that's when, if it's a loss that's coming, that's when I start to grieve it. So there'll be a wave of sadness. And again, I've had to learn to discern that sometimes when sadness comes, it's not about what's happening right now. It's about what is coming. And I'm mourning the loss already. And the gift of this is, by the time things actually unfold in my life, I've already handled them on the energetic level. So I rarely get caught off guard. Doesn't mean I like it when uncomfortable things happen, but it means instead of being shocked, I'm often smiling, because it's like, okay, here it is. This is what it was. And I've been preparing for it, in terms of my frequency and my sensing and the waves that are coming in. I've been preparing for it for a year or 18 months, or at least 2 months usually, right? Okay, so here we are now. So by the time something occurs in my life, and I don't like to assign judgment to things, but let's call it good or bad, right, for our purposes here. I'm not surprised. It's now in the material. It's now sitting in front of me, okay, well, here we are. But by that time, I'm already, again, 6 months out. So I'm already working with the integration of what's already happened. Now, this used to really freak people in my life out, because they would be like, holy shit, this thing is happening, but it's not happening to her right now. It already happened to her 6 months ago. She didn't know exactly what it was, but that's why. And so that's why I believe that a lot of people who are advanced on their spiritual path look like they handle life better But what I want to reassure you is the 6 months prior, when it's happening on the energetic level and not yet in the material, it's just as hard. And in fact, it's a little bit harder because you don't know exactly what you're mourning. Or on the flip side, if it's really good stuff coming, you don't know exactly what you're excited about. Let's say things are really hard at work right now, but there's like this unfolding happening that's going to shift your role and make things easier. You might start feeling that ease now, but the rest of your company is like, holy shit, this is hard. And you're like, it's actually feeling kind of open. That's because it is open. They can't see it yet. Because maybe they're the kind of people that I was mentioning to you earlier, where they're like, I'll believe it when I see it. Whereas I would tell you, I'll see it when I believe it. And because I believe, I see early. Now, living this way becomes a choice, but it is an accelerated way of living and being that helps you navigate your life in a more measured way, because life then isn't happening to you. It's unfolding through you. And when you don't hold on, when you are willing to surrender into whatever's happening at the time, I do believe that's grace. I do believe that's what allows you to be fully present in your life, even though you're living. And so this is the trick, right? I'm always living in this moment right now and also about 2 years out. And for a lot of people, I think, when we talk about shamanism, right, and living in two worlds, people think that's the spirit world and the material world, right? But for me, that's also time. That's living in this time and no time, beyond time. That's living in the third dimension and the fourth dimension, because in 4D you lose time, which is why a lot of us are living in 4D. I would say I probably spend at least half my time in 4D, which is why it's really hard for me to look down at the clock, because time spins. And a lot of times I don't know where I am in time. So I have to ask people, what time is it? Or can you help me? Or can you keep me, I have to have help staying in time. I'm sure you see it. 5D is where we lose space. So 5D is where the dimensions fold in on each other. And that's, even for those of us who operate mostly in 4D, 5D is still a trip. And for a lot of us, 5D takes an altered state to really be able to work there. I can work in 4D without being in an altered state, but I have to be in an altered state to work well in 5D. It's a lot for a human. Remember, you're 3D. So just getting out of time is a quantum shift. But it allows you to see that time is just a tool and you can manipulate it. And so a good New Year's practice, I think, for us this year would be to dispatch a raven. And what would you like Raven to show you? What unfolding in future time can Raven teach you about now? And again, you have to let go of your very human desire to control things. You don't have control. If you think you do, that's an illusion. You're not dispatching Raven to go fix someone. You're not dispatching Raven to go solve something. You're dispatching Raven to see. That's what Raven does. And then to return to you with the message, because Raven's a messenger. You can ask Raven questions. How can I be preparing for what's coming? Is there anything in my consciousness that I need to create space for or shift in order to be ready to prepare? I like to ask Raven about being of service. In what ways can I be of service to the shift that's happening? Because again, and this is another pattern people get into, they only think about themselves. If you really want to transform spiritually, you're going to have to get beyond you. It isn't all about you. if you feel really big in your life and like your problems are all you can see and your thoughts are all you can sense, your awareness is limited to you, that's the first step for you. You are part of a big whole, WHOLE, right? The collective. And Raven can help you with that too. You can ask Raven for a message about how to attend to the collective, because focusing on you is going to make you sad. It's never really a fulfilling path to make everything about you. But it's kind of the first step to healing is to move beyond yourself. Keeping in mind that when you help others, you do help yourself, because everyone is a mirror of you. But I think for a lot of people are so stuck in, my health, my job, my family, my marriage, my It's like, whoa, okay. We, our, right? That's a different way of working with the energies. We, our, instead of I, my, I am, my, I need, I. And so if you're ready to dispatch a raven, I just want to give thanks, first of all, to the guardians of all of the directional gateways at this new year, guardians of the East. This is an opportunity for us to reimagine what's possible. And I would love for you to make a list of your intentions for this new year. At the end of 2018 and at the end of 2019, right? So Samhain 2019, if you look at this list, how will you know that your intentions were manifest? What are the things you're looking to experience and create and allow and make space for in the 12 months ahead? And so Guardians of the East, we're really grateful for this new year. Here we are. Help us to make the best of it, of the time that we have, and help us to get beyond ourselves so that we can see really how to be of service to the collective. And Guardians of the South, guardians of fire, guardians of power and possibility and expansion, creation. Thank you for your service to us in the year ahead. Guardians of the South are the ones who make it happen. It's the push, yeah? So help us to burn brightly in service to beauty and power and possibility and transformation. And Guardians of the West, help us move into flow in our lives so that we can see the illusion of separation and the illusion of hard work for what it is. That those are actually our constructs that we create and the stories that we tell about why we don't have or feel or sense what we want. Help us to get out of our own way, Guardians of the West. Help us to not expect others to do our work for us. Help us to see our own role. And as we dispatch one of your compassionate helpers at this new year, help us to receive the messages that Raven brings back with clarity. And Guardians of the North, remind us that we're safe and protected and always held and guided so that we can walk these next steps with a sense of confidence, resting on your shoulders, resting in your wisdom, surrounded by your trees, anchored by your crystals. And so, Raven, we call upon you today to come and to scout for us We dispatch you on a seeing and sensing mission. We request your vision. We request your foresight. We request your messages. Ride out on that wave for us today, Raven, and report back what we need to see in order to move into this new year in the deepest possible alignment with what is and what will be and what can be if we trust, surrender, and believe. And it's as simple as just imagining Raven appearing before you, making eye contact with you, and then dispatching to the west. And again, letting go of all of your control mechanisms, right? You don't need to know when Raven's coming back. You don't need to judge what Raven returns with. You don't need to chart Raven's course and help Raven out. Raven knows how to do what Raven does. We don't need to micromanage our power animals, right? Surrender, surrender, surrender. Let go, let go, let go. Trust, trust, trust. Believe, 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 and allow, allow, allow. And then receive, receive, receive. At this Samhain, I wish for you all that you desire in perfect time, in ways that remind you that magic is very, very real. The price you pay for magic, in my experience, is the surrendering of old beliefs that sometimes feel very comfortable to you but aren't serving you very well. If you're willing to pay that price, then magic can really transform you. It can transform where you live, how you live, what you feel, what you believe. So if you're ready, it's as simple as saying yes. And thank you. Yahoo. Happy New Year. May your Samhain be blessed. May the entire year ahead be blessed for you in every way. And may all that you seek come to you in perfect time. And so, guardians of the four gateways, we've welcomed you in to our new year. We release you for this moment, but we thank you for anchoring us. We thank you for attending us. We thank you for guiding Raven on Raven's path on our behalf. And we welcome the wisdom that comes. And so it is. Amen, aho, and so it is. Samhain blessings to you. I'll see you soon.